This episode is brought to you by the RVA Podcast Network. Find more information at rvapodcast.org.
We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such. What's good, y'all? It's season 5 of the Past BT Pod with your host, BT. We have a new season here, and it's time to get this show going. As you all know, we talk about sports. Sports won't be as big of a carrier this year. I think we'll be carrying more towards the stuff, and predominantly on the sports side, you'll be hearing more from the musical aspect, but we will still be talking about technical. We'll be giving you the video game content. I will still be going over the ass of the week. We'll definitely be passing the message. You'll be getting an angel number and you'll get quite a few gems. So sit back, relax, take your time, don't waste your time. This is the Past BT with your host, Brian. What is up? What's good? Episode 320 of the Past is here. I'm shocked that I was able to remember that number even with not using my normal platform or product placement or things of that nature. And I'll get into that in just a second. But I wanted to at least give y'all an episode because I have not recorded in quite a while and I don't like it. So I guess you could say I'm being more present and being more accepting of who I am. Let me go ahead and give y'all the layout now. There is no script. There is no format. There is no style that I'm going to go with. A lot of this show is going to be very freestyle, but it's also going to be it's all going to come together. Y'all know me when it comes to me recording, when it comes to me providing content. My number one goal is to create from the best place. And it's amazing because I look at, a day literally earlier this morning, I had my famous phrase on the wall, the Mamba mentality, which is a constant quest to be the best version of oneself. And, a friend of mine who is a fellow creative was able to gift me with a more minimalist yet brighter version of the mantra. And it's interesting because even when I showed it to her in its design and in its sitting, I placed the one that I previously had up near my floor. And the first thing she said is, because creatives, we are hard on ourselves. The first words out of her mouth were, it's not the same one because this one doesn't have the one I made you didn't have the word mantra. And I was like, it doesn't have to have the word mantra. You kind of can imply or get the idea of it being a mantra or a message. So I'm grateful for her with doing that design and doing that creative work. Matter of fact, what I'm probably going to do is make the image of the new design as the background image for this show. And that'll kind of go into what I'm about to share next. So any of you who have been hearing me talk about podcasting, had talked about recording, I've shared it at times, but I've been an Adobe Audition user for probably the last, I would say 3, maybe 4 years, if not longer. And I received some news that I was not very pleased in receiving. It may motivate me and or push me to getting the program again and utilizing it, but I kind of was given the hammer or the lockdown of no, you will need to utilize our program in its proper manner, which I totally respect, and I'm not here to cause friction or tension on one way or the other. But I will say this: I am definitely going to be more humble and more upfront with my delivery of the content. And when I say that, I mean it as basically to say what I was saying, and I'm back to my original roots and my original starting with recording. And if you've been rocking with the show for a while, a lot of people might not even remember or realize my podcast started with a Samson Meteor microphone and GarageBand. I'm not using GarageBand anymore. Well, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I'm still using GarageBand. I'm not using the Samson Meteor anymore. I've shared that with someone else to look into their podcast endeavors. But for me, I'm taking it back to where it all started, and it's going to draw for much more productive and more creative and more direct content, which is what it's all about at the end of the day. Like, as a creator and as a fellow creative, you know that when the time comes to say, hey, it's time to make a change, you make a change and you go with the punches. And that has kind of been or is becoming what my space and or routine is about lately, which I value it. I've valued it before, but I think now I'm starting to really value it for what it's worth. And I know I'm giving like a lot of disclosures, disclaimers, and a lot of hoopla, just random statements. But I'm sharing these things because I really want people to understand, like, it is simple to create. Like, let's be clear. Creating is a simple process when you're in a space to be a creator or a creative. The challenge becomes consistently doing it and actually taking that allotted time and saying, I am going to dedicate and or devote myself to this said thing. Because that means, in hindsight, whether you realize it or not, you're going to end up you almost can say what I was saying, in neglecting someone or something else along the way. And others kind of have to be okay with that. Like, I had this long drawn out conversation with a former classmate. I mean, I might as well say classmate because, I mean, we've graduated. It's been 21 years, but, it's like when you grow, it's an amazing feeling. But an even more amazing feeling is when others can say, I'm seeing you grow and I'm watching the growth, because that's confirmation and or proof that, to say what I was saying, that you're doing it right, or you're getting a handle on what you should be doing or what you're trying to do. Like I said earlier, and I'm giving this as a fair yet honest warning, this show is going to be very off the dome, very, very random, but also very organized in a manner. I'm not going to read the angel number, but I have the angel number prepared and queued. So I will have that in the show notes, as I always do. Like I mentioned earlier, the stories have been in existence. There have been a lot of things that have happened in the sports world and the tech world. Unpacking and getting into a lot of it, I could, but I'm just not. I'll also say, and I feel, I don't even know if I want to say I owe y'all an apology, but I feel bad as a creator that I have not done my best creative work this month. And that's not just on the podcast end, that's on the blogging end, that's on the designing end. And I'm working on that. I'm not going to lack my accountability. Like, I don't, it's not like I'm sitting there saying, I'm sorry for not being a creative and not giving my best effort. Yeah, I can say that and it would be authentic, but I also know for a fact, like, even with me saying it the way I did, I'm saying it being silly, but in all seriousness, like, I really do feel bad about not designing or giving a lot of the effort that I normally would give towards what I'm doing, because my routine's been there to do it, but I've also been focused on personal tasks and goals too. And I'll share that a little bit too. So in the last month, a lot of things transformed for the better. I'm starting a new job. I'm not going to say where, I'm not going to say what I'm doing, but just to mildly describe it, I'm a liaison. I'll just say it that way. I'm not going to give any personal business because y'all know I keep it very private if necessary, because I don't want everything to be known publicly unless you personally know me. But even with saying that or sharing that information, like I've done that. But on a personal level, I have opted to go back to school. And it's probably going to shock people because most of my friends who know me are probably going to think to themselves, what are you going back to school for now? What more are you trying to learn, or what information are you trying to gather that you don't already have? Well, the interesting part is I am currently, I've talked with people and I've shared with folks that I am a designer, or I do web design, or I do graphic design. Well, graphic design, I'm doing that, but I'm still kind of learning as I go. Web design, I feel like, is going to be my baby. And what I'm going to school and learning is software development. Part of software development is HTML, cascading style sheets. And I'm not going to tech y'all to death too much, but I'm just sharing kind of like a couple things that I'm looking to learn, like JavaScript. I'm planning, I would really, the thing that kind of caught my attention in looking at this too is I really do want to and or give the consideration of being an app developer, because I look at it like this. It's great to see, like I've been on the app Clubhouse since December. So we're looking at about 3 months or over 3 months. And I will come clean and say it has been a very resourceful tool. I'm not saying that there are programs that are going to do it better or improve or anything of that nature, but what they're doing has set like a standard that other apps and or programs are giving a try. I've even listened to I've listened to a specific podcast make conversations about quote unquote the future of podcasting. And that's kind of been an alarming conversation. I've watched people go through their emotions and ideas and their thoughts of what is going to be next in the creative space in that element. So I've considered that too. But I'm just kind of, going along with the flow and learning to say what I was saying, and let my guard down a little bit more, because at times it becomes this, I don't know if I want to say a challenging task, but it becomes this very ongoing battle of realizing that you're going to have times and you're going to have points where you quote unquote get the hang of it. And there are going to be other times where you're sitting there and you're like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe the planes are flying over something. And I just know, when you're in that space and when you're in that position to see it really come full circle, you accept it and you embrace it with open arms. So that's kind of been what I'm doing. And I've rambled over 11 minutes longer than I expected about these things in this intro. So like I said, I don't have articles. I don't have topics per se, but I'll kind of mill through a few things that have happened since our last like weekly sports show. And I want to make sure, because I probably said this earlier, I wish I had more women on for Women's History Month. I was able to kind of freestyle an episode in place of one, which wasn't the end of the world, but as the saying goes, the show must go on, which it did. And I was able to get like a good replacement, but then I didn't do a show to cover one space. And then today, and listen, I know I said it was gonna be an 11-minute stop and then we're gonna run into some stuff, but I'm very open in what I share and how I share things. And I've even talked about it on the podcast before of losing my sister. And to many of so last Saturday, I'm going to just keep it a stack. I was not in a recording mood. It was lucky. It was what I termed a reference as Lucky 13, which was, the 13th year of Laura's passing. Laura Barnes, who is and has been and will forever be a key part of our family and our growth and everyone's journeys and traditions and routines. So I didn't realize or understand how much I missed her until really realizing like she's not here, and it's unreal. But I know, she's here in spirit. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear those messages. Like, I mean, yeah, but it would be good to have the physical person. But a lot of times the person is here, just may not be in a way that you prefer or like it. And that becomes that controlling and or uncontrolling factor that we talk about or get into. So last week it was that. Then this week I was indifferent about whether I wanted to record or not because it's my nephew's birthday, but it's also my friend Yvonne's birthday. Because normally when her birthday comes, I'm like, oh man, it's Yvonne's birthday. I'm so excited. This is the second year of her birthday arriving and her not being here. So, I always think about her a lot and think about, a lot of the conversations, the good times, literally to say what I was saying, we had a lot of disagreements and a lot of people, anyone who knew us on a personal level may or may not have realized that, but we were human. You never are going to see eye to eye with people that you personally know, but you also have to realize that you're going to have those moments and you just got to get through it and press forward. So that was something that we experienced or went through our fair share of emotions at that time as well. So I was kind of like on the fence and unsure, like, do I want to record? Do I really feel like dealing? And I was like, Brian, it's not about you. It's about content. It's about information and it's about sharing things. And it's also about unpacking. So before I start, because I said I was going to start, I'm going to go back to the episode 319 because I shared a message and I might have put it in the midst of the message to clarify, but I want to share this again because I want people to really understand this leaving March, going into April, how important it is to understand and take into account that you just can't eat everything whole. You have to take things in pieces and or in portions. The example I give, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars, whatever pizza preference you like. When you order a pizza and they send you a pizza, the pizza does not come uncut. It comes cut in slices. Now, whether those slices are boxed, the checkerboard style that Domino's does at times, or if it's done in a style such as your typical pizza of 8 slices, or you might go to some places where they cut it down to 16. I've been to places where they cut it, the slices a little thinner because you want to get more slices if you got a lot of people at a gathering. I've seen that too. But I'm giving that example of breaking that down because in life, we want to do, our natural instinct is to go, do, get these things done and execute yesterday. But that's not life. That's not reality. It's not fair to you as a person. Like you have those points and or those times that you're gonna have to kind of step back, peel the Band-Aid off and kind of acknowledge the scab for a second and then let the scab heal and go through its process. It's not like I'm taking it away from the pizza, but I'm gonna bring it to the scab and bring it back to the pizza in a second. When a wound is healing, the wound doesn't just become a wound and then a second or two later it's like, boom, it's back to being your natural skin. It has to go through its process and it has to go through its whole stage. Even down to when I'm with making a pizza reference, like, yes, you got the pizza and it was the cut slices, but you don't just call a place and it's like, hey, the pizza's ready, come pick it up. Even the hot and ready process, they still have to make those pizzas before you even can go pick it up or whatever the case may be. So in ordering a pizza and you get the pizza to be ordered and picked up, you're still put in a position afterward to say, oh, I am not going to be able to eat this entire pizza in one sitting. So let me take my time and eat them in individual slices and enjoy the fact that I have the pizza. So you have to remember that in how you eat and or consume the world and take on what the world brings you. A few weeks ago, and again, I'm freestyling stories, so if I don't get them all right, sorry, I'm human. The All-Star game happened. And I didn't realize till looking back, I was like, wait, I did not do a podcast or really talk about much since the All-Star game for the NBA. And he was able to draft. Somehow he pulled off the draft to get Steph Curry, Giannis, Dame Lillard. I think Sabonis might have been on his team. And it was like a little bit of a savage shot between whether he was drafting Gobert and Mitchell, because they were saying like the last team you pick or play on a game is the Utah Jazz, which I was like, okay, it's funny, it's cool, but in hindsight, the Jazz are going to keep a close eye on that. And it's kind of tough because you almost look at karma. Karma definitely karma, because I think even in the draft, LeBron picked AD, but AD couldn't play due to injury. A lot of players were out based on injury, which was a very key component to look at. But for the most part, it wasn't a bad like All-Star game. Giannis ended up winning MVP. Giannis literally did not miss a field goal. A lot of people thought that they personally thought that Dame should have got it, or even Steph. Like Steph was shooting. Steph was lights out. Played a pretty good game. So you had that. March Madness came and went. Oh, I'm sorry. March Madness early rounds have occurred. I'm going to say something, and I'm probably going to sound like the craziest sports fan for what I'm about to say. I haven't watched any March Madness this year. And I don't know if it's that I'm just not into it. I don't know if it's that I'm not pressed about it, especially because of the fact that I don't think the kids should be putting their health and or lives at risk. But I also know the reality of the sport, which is not about me. It's about money. The money is always going to be the motive. I'm going to talk about this while I have the space to do so. And I've shared this multiple times, so I'm probably going to be beating a dead horse. The COVID vaccine has drawn a lot of conversations that a lot of people either aren't willing to have or don't know how to have, or both. It could be a mixture of both, because a lot of it is very personal. And someone shared this in a room that I was in last night. People's communication has gotten horrible, like very horrible. And it's odd because before social media, people knew how to talk to each other. Now we put a phone in front of you. We place a shit ton of apps on that phone. And hey, you don't have to really talk to someone. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to be yourself. You can play it along and fool us all and make us believe whatever we want to believe. And the sad part is they get away with it. And I don't know if that's going to help us in the long haul. But then the reality of it is, doesn't matter because we're here. I just think that there's a much better way to be effective with how we talk to each other, and also having conversations with ourselves. You just find yourself in a position where you operate a lot differently, or you operate in a different with a different eye. So I'm saying that and sharing that because, like I said, I looked at a little bit of the March. Look, I've caught highlights and caught a couple scores here and there. Like a friend of mine, he's keeping the numbers and he's been watching it and doing like his money stuff with it. And I'm like, yo, it's cool. I ain't knocking you for it, but I'm not that attached to it this year. And I think it's even tougher because being from where I am, like VCU didn't make the tournament. So I'm sorry, VCU made the tournament, but they were removed from the tournament due to having a positive test for COVID. And because of that, they pretty much, and the way they've done it is if a team has someone that's confirmed to have gotten it, then you end up forfeiting your tournament opportunity. Even worse, because I never even thought about this being a scenario, but this is a scenario that can happen. If two teams are playing each other and both teams have a player that got COVID, whoever was on the opposite side of that bracket could get practically gets a bye. So that becomes something that is looked at and viewed. But, like I said earlier, this is money. So, a lot of your blue bloods, a lot of your teams, or a lot of folks who experience what they experience are going to do what they got to do to get the bag. I mean, and I'm never going to be in a position or a space to knock that whatsoever. There's no need to. It's not right to even look at it as such. Football has kind of been a little rocky. There's been some conversations and questions of figuring out what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. And then everyone's looking at trying to figure out whether these allegations involving Watson have just the timing of them was bad, or, what's really going to occur from it if he could, possibly, face some time or think. I don't even want to say time, but just face anything that could really be a detriment to his playing career. Because, I mean, you got to think of it, too. It's bigger than football. Just saying that to be very honest. Trying to figure out what else we've had happen. Oh my gosh, I literally forgot. So we haven't recorded in a while, and literally the last big story, or the last thing that hit a few days ago, actually on Thursday, was the trade deadline. And so a lot of NBA teams made some moves. Some teams did no movement at all. It's early, and I'm gonna freestyle a story before I get into trades. I'm gonna freestyle a quick story because I want to bring this to the forefront. LeBron's gonna be out for up to 6 weeks. They said 4 to 6. I think it's gonna be the full 6. They're gonna manage and try to get whatever they can in this process, because as long as LA has a seed in the playoffs, let me emphasize this again. As long as LA has a seed in the playoffs, they're going to be fine. If I remember correctly, seeds 1 through 6 are a solid lock for both the East and the West. 7, 8, 9, and 10, it's going to turn into play-in games between those teams. So I'm going to assume 7 will play 10 and 8's going to play 9. And then from there, whoever wins the 7 and the 10 seed becomes the 7th team. And then whoever wins the 8th and the 9th seed becomes the 8th seed. That's important to think of, because if a Lakers team is in that bottom tier and they become a 7 or 8 seed and they play and I think they've even brought the scenario, a lot of people have talked the scenario up. If they happen to play, say, a Utah Jazz, that could become a very detrimental concern for the sport and or for the game. So just keep that in the back of your mind, and keep that as something to look at in all that's going on. I said earlier, I haven't really been on the tech warpath. I may as well share it now. I've made a decision that I didn't need to make, but I chose to because I'm just open to saying it, and I got no shame in being honest. I loved my option and my idea of using a larger phone for a while, but I also missed the simple form factor of a phone such as the older iPhones. I was in between on options to look at, because it was either going to be the iPhone 12 mini, or it was going to be the iPhone 12. As I did more research, I realized that the 12 and the 12 Pro were practically the same. The Pro just had more features that I may use, I may not use. But then I also looked at the camera, and then of course the infamous, oh my God, it's 12 cameras. Not literally, but there are multiple cameras, which, drew about larger conversation. So I ended up going with the 12 Pro. Now, at the time when I was looking to swap phones or upgrade, the place that I was talking to about it wanted me to get the Pro Max, which as soon as I saw the Pro Max, I was like, this is going to be the XS Max all over again. And I'm just not, I can't do a larger phone. my hand just is, and I know it sounds crazy to sit there and say, well, I mean, you need to just man up and deal with it. And I'm just like, I also don't want to get the cell phone hand. I call it the cell. Oh, you can call it the cell phone hand, the cell phone claw, whatever you want to look at it as. But I just am not in the space to sit and have a possibility of something occurring with my hand. I'm always thinking about that, especially in the type of role that I do in doing a lot of typing. Because, I mean, let's face it, or even just doing typing in general as a blogger. Like, I don't want to have that be my $1 million concern or my eye concern to look at. So I went with the Pro, and in the week, I guess you could say that in the past week, because I've had it for a week now, I actually like the phone. It's not a bad phone. I have already become an accessory addict a little bit. I got one screen protector. Well, I ended up getting a screen protector from, oddly enough, Walmart. I've shared this company or this brand before. On is kind of like the mainstays of electronics. And if you know what that means, or you understand, you shopped at Walmart, you understand exactly what I'm saying. But the screen protector that I got, it was about $5. And literally, like, you put it on. I'm one of those ones, I don't have to go through that whole process of, I need to put this here and you got to put these stickers. How can I sit this in the middle? Let me, line it up. And I usually am pretty spot on with lining it up. And this one, like, so far, like, there weren't any air bubbles. There isn't any, like, oh man, you left a rough spot on here. It looks totally fine. And then I got a starter case. I did get a case from the store. It was like $20. But then I also picked up, as time has progressed, I went from having 2 cases to right now I have 4. And I believe I have 3 more coming. And people who know me know I'm the case addict. My plan, hopefully, is not to get out of control like I've normally done. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be one of those keep your eyes open, but I'm gonna try to limit my over excessive acquisition of cases. But with me, that's always subject to change. I share all that just to say, like, the tech flow for me has been kind of chill. I'm still working on digital well-being, and I've been back and forth because I was thinking, like, do I want to get another bag? But I'm like, do I need one when I already have one that does just fine? So I'm not really gonna run out and just buy another one just because. And that's been something that I've given a thought to or considered, which has been key. It's different when you haven't recorded in a while and you're really trying to, like, get thoughts together. What else is new? I had an ass of the week, but there have been so many people, like, right now, and I'm probably not gonna, I'm not gonna make too much light of this. We really need to stop Asian, like, let me be serious for a second, because I know usually I say things and it may or may not come out as it's intended, but I'm going to share it as organically as I can. We need to stop Asian hate. And it's crazy that a year later, it's been over a year since COVID-19 really made its airwaves and made its attention. But people have given folks a hard time for something that they didn't even have anything to do with it occurring. It occurred and became a wildfire. It was an uncontrolled wildfire at an unexpected time. And I don't think everyone knew and or realized where or what was going to come of this occurring. Anyone who has experienced this, thoughts and prayers to you. Anyone that has lost lives of people they know due to this, I send thoughts and prayers to you as well. Furthermore, this probably is going to be something that needs to be pointed out. We have to stop giving a pass to people that don't deserve it. I know that's probably going to sound crazy, but it's valid. We give people passes for things they do due to, oh, I'm tired, or oh, I had a rough day, or this. Having a rough day and affecting like the lives of tens, like over at least 10 people is just too much. And when I say over 10 people, I refer to it as the people who have lost their lives, the family members of those people who have lost their lives, and even the friends of those people who have lost their lives. Like, it affects people in different ways. Like, I've said this on the podcast numerous times, and I'm really still standing behind it. The aftermath of COVID is going to be shockingly overwhelming. Only because, one, this is not anything that the world was prepared for, let alone America. America was not prepared for something of this magnitude. But also, therapists and people who are, anyone that's out here in a space to help other people, are people right now, more people are being forced to understand the relevance and importance of protecting their energy or protecting their space, protecting your heart, knowing your worth. Like, those are things that before you knew about it and you understood it, but now you really get the gist of why you should like take care of yourself and not give people the energy or time that they don't deserve. And a lot of times it becomes and it falls into that easier said than done category, but you really have to remember how important that is. I don't know what else I got on anything. Like, I'm sharing that just because we gotta get through this the best way we can, and we have to realize and value or know how valuable we are to ourselves as well as to other people. I don't really have much else that I'm going to share. I will do a little bit of a business. Like I said, I'll do a multi-business promo, and then we're gonna wrap up. I guess I'll get a message to pass along because I've used the pizza analogy enough. But I think I have something that'll be kind of cool to share to pass the message. So what was it? Episode 318. Carlette came on the show and shared her awesome information about candles and blessing scent. And please, if you have not done so, definitely check her out. She's actually, as I'm recording this, she's doing a pop-up shop, which I'm considering I might go hang out because I need to get out of the house anyway. And it's nice out. But I'm saying that to share that I just recently got some more candles from her a few days ago. And I burned the peppermint and eucalyptus candle. And I was supposed to be leading a meditation gathering one night. And in the midst of the meditation music playing, I fell asleep. I was dirt dog tired. And I'm getting like messages and responses saying, Brian, you over there falling asleep? You snoring? And I was like, I feel so bad. But I also was like, no, this is the candle doing its job. And I needed it at the time when I got it. I still have some more wax melts. I think I'm going to rock my wax melt. I got in there probably for like a few more weeks. And then I'm going to switch up because I always do that every once in a while. Also, I've increased my crystal collection by a lot. I've supported a couple businesses on Etsy that have some crystals as well as selenite crystals as far as for recharging various crystals. I'm still, and I've told people I'm still learning like what crystals are meant to charge, what crystals or how you should charge them if they need to sit in direct sunlight, things of that sort. And I've also, I bought my friend Kim Jewelry, aka Quan, enchanted moonstress, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, of moonstones. She's seen more of what I'm doing or where things are going than I've seen it, and I didn't notice it until time kind of just revealed and healed all the wounds, I guess you could say. And yeah, we like she's been able to, put me in a position to like know the relevance and the importance of just taking care of yourself. So that's what I've lately been doing. I've gotten things that I know I want to get, and it's made it worthwhile. So I got a set of crystals from her to represent the 7 chakra stones. And I gotta say, like, I already was in a space where I was operating and feeling better, but now adding these to the crystals that I already have, I think I'm almost, if not in double figures with crystals right now. So that was like an amazing acquisition or a big deal to do. I've also, and I don't want to, like I said, I probably mentioned her at the beginning of the show, but my friend Avis, she goes by A. Nicole, Melanated Self-Love. She has different things that she goes by. I'm not just saying it's just because, but I'm saying it because it's valid. Keep your eyes open on what she's doing. And I'm in a position now where I know I can help her with getting that ball rolling as to what she's working on. I think a lot of times we just need someone to get the ball out there and just get it on the court. And then from there, we got it. We got it the rest of the way. We just need somebody to get us into that space and out of our head. And that almost might tie into the past message, but we'll see. I'll think about it. 2 more and then we'll wrap up. And I have a business call with this person today. Actually, I might have a business call with both of these people. But first, Nicole, aka Nikki G, has been like, it's like you meet someone and you talk to them and it's like, okay, this seemed like a good person. And then you really sit down and you talk with them and you're like, dang, they really are like, they're good people. They actually genuinely care. They actually talk to me. They check on me. They want to make sure I'm all right. And I'm over here with the innocent, somber, I don't want to talk about anything. I'm fine. When deep down, I'm not fine. But sometimes in most instances and or cases, you need that space or that point of knowing like, hey, I have someone that I can confide in or talk to about things. But I have been and am looking now to help her with her business and with her platform, even down to giving more effort and time towards designing and getting me out of my comfort zone and putting my best foot forward, which I'm beyond ready for. So I'm definitely ready to see her do things greater than no other, even down to her sharing a lot of the information she has based on the narcissistic community and people who have experienced narcissism, the spiritual and or religious warfares that have and are still going on. I'm here for, seeing her win and succeed. So I give credit where it's due by far. And last, but certainly not least, and I'm hoping within the next week, if not sooner, probably be this weekend, that I get a conversation in with her and we do our check-in or update. But Special has been like, now I'm gonna be honest, she was someone that I really wanted to get on the show this month. I'm taking ownership for that because I never really correlated with her on an actual time and a point to actually record. And plus, I'm still trying to like learn, because I did it once with having someone on the show via phone call, but it's everything for me comes down to one important component, and that's quality. I will take quality over quantity every time. because I don't want my show to sound like trash under any circumstances, because then it leaves it to not be enjoyed by the fan or by the listener. And that's not what I'm looking for at all. So I just, wanted to share that or put that into the universe as I'm, addressing and talking about different things. But she has been my planning accountability partner for the last almost 3 years now. I can literally recall 2018, most of 2019, she was kind of like the person that geared me back to planning a lot more and organizing a lot more. Right now, my organization has been kind of like I'm there, but it's not a concern, only because, to say what I was saying, there are bigger fish to fry. So I'm not like as invested in it as I normally would be, but I'm okay with it. So I'm not like I'm not beating myself up about it. Like I'd be like, oh my God, I'm not where I should be. And I feel like I should, but it's like, hey, I mean, everyone, to say what I was saying, everyone had life happen to them. So we're all trying to work through life the best we can, but we also can't let life happen and then be the slowdown or the shutdown of everything. Because to some people, once that occurs, you've lost the battle. Fuck the war. You've lost the battle. And that's very, very important. So I will definitely say that I value and genuinely appreciate the conversations that we've had about different things, and hearing some of the truths that I've had to hear. It helped me in the position that I have now to really not just use this position as, hey, I'm getting paid, so I'm gonna just do whatever I want and not care. Now I'm like, no, I gotta be more considerate of what I'm doing and where things are going, and a lot in what I have, because you only get one chance. I mean, you get second chances and other opportunities, but it's new. It's towards something different. If it's running towards the same thing, you might want to look at it again, because it may not be what you think it is. So yeah, I definitely wanted to give her a shout out. So those are you could say those are my women, my women of importance for this year, or for this month. I'll even throw in there, Kimberly, may as well, you know what? We in a mood. I'll throw Kimberly and Siobhan in there. So Kimberly is probably one of the few friends I have that has known me over 20 years, over half of my life. And when I tell you I don't do well with telling things to her because I know how she's going to respond to it, I'm not joking. Like, I really am always concerned of what she's going to say or how she's going to react to what I share. But then I also know it's a mutual feeling, because when she makes announcements or does things, I'm like, how others are going to react to it, I'm usually just going to be like, hey, as long as you're happy, I don't care. And I know, like, the I don't care thing can give a tough feeling, but it also is a true assessment. But she has been heavily creating and working through a lot of things, even with all that she's personally looking to get done, which I'm beyond excited for. So that's what I care about more than anything else. I'll say this. If it wasn't for Kim, I wouldn't have met Siobhan. And Siobhan is the true Christian creative that I have the utmost, like, I have respect for any Christian creative by far. I have respect for any creative by far. But she is someone who I can literally remember a few years ago being at an event that she was involved with, and her being there is like, it was a podcast / open forum conversation. And it's like, I'm sitting there with this Medium Pads podcast t-shirt on, just literally trying to enjoy the environment, because I believe we might be at the point where it's now been like the annual event, the annual point of when the event occurred. And, meeting her and talking, like, when I first kind of approached her, I was kind of like, it was literally like double dutch. I was like, I don't know if I want to, what do I want to say? How do I want to? And I was just like, you know what? Just talk to her. And we've been good friends ever since. It's never been like a discomforting conversation of, oh, I'm trying to use this as a point in a position to like shoot my shot. It's been an authentic and organic connection. So those are my lucky 7. I went from a few to like a lot of people, but yeah, that's my lucky 7 of women, Black women who have been true queens in their own right, all doing and continuing to do amazing things. So, as I shared, I will do my best to see if I can throw some of their information in the show notes as to what they do and where they are. And we'll get it all up and at them, as time progresses. All right. A message to pass along to the listeners. I want to tell everyone that my usual statement would easily say you are enough, but I think for this one, I'm going to go with you. It is as hard as it is to, as simple as it sounds, as much as people always hear you have the ability to be anything that you choose to be. The biggest challenge behind having that ability to be anything is that you have to still put a name behind a face, or you have to put effort behind action. Like, you can have the action, but if there's no effort added to it, then it's done for, it's in vain almost. So be, as hard as it is to not do it, be patient with yourself. Don't look at, well, I see this person is doing this, but why am I not doing this? And you have to remember and consider it and take into account everyone's motions and everyone's paths are going to be different. I had this conversation with a friend of mine. She was actually on the show for the year in review. And I'm saying this because it needs to be something that to really understand. How and in what manner you go about achieving your better version of you versus how I go about doing it, neither one of us are wrong. Because we're all trying to get to that better version of us. We have to be respectful of the other person's option and or way of doing things. Some of us are, and some of us aren't. And that isn't, me throwing shots. That isn't me being subliminal. That's just me pointing out the full picture of what it's all about. Because in this world, whether we realize it or not, a lot of these things or a lot of these experiences are and have a tendency to be bigger than us without us knowing it. So that's the message that I'm going to leave with you all. I have a fun task on my hands because now not only do I have the recording, but now I have to find and get in the habit of learning the editing side of GarageBand because, fun fact, when I was using GarageBand and when I first was recording, my recording style was record, save, upload, done. I did not do any of I didn't do any editing. I didn't know how to, as I've done in shows before, I didn't know how to reverse audio. I didn't know how to, there's a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't know like how to add audio. Like if I have, let's say I have audio saved somewhere else. I didn't know how to take that audio and add it into this show. So now I'm literally realigning and readjusting the wheel a little bit and learning how to do this again. I got one other option, but I'm going to kind of look at what I want to do because I really do want to, because the main thing, and this is a podcast rant. So if you made it this far, thank you. I'm not going to, this kind of going to be like just the random wrap up. I'm trying to find that solid program that makes the recording factor simple, but doesn't make the audio and the extra things overly complicated. And I know it exists, but it's a matter of finding one that exists. And even if it comes down to a price tag, not feeling like I'm going to pay an arm and a leg and sacrifice my firstborn to get that form of content. Because if it's once it feels or has reached that point, as with anything, we lose interest. We're not as connected, and it's something you have to accept and acknowledge. But with most people who are recording and or do recordings, they want the simple, the convenient, I won't say lackluster, but the portion and the parts of it that aren't going to make you feel like, oh my gosh, if I turn on this program, this is going to take up my whole life and I won't have anything else to do. Okay, I'm glad I just checked. I was like, wait, do I have Audacity? Because I know there are going to be points, or there might be a time where I may end up resorting to using Audacity again, because Audacity is still a simple yet free program to use. I love Audition. Y'all know I think I lived, slept, and breathed Adobe Audition. Like that was kind of like that was my baby, still my baby to this day. But like I said, we'll see where life takes us and where the story goes. But I greatly appreciate you all listening. It's going to be a more organized format. I promise you all that. I will be getting back to reading some topics, getting some links, getting some content, and actually talking about stuff that is going on. So just bear with me. Like I said, this week was kind of just a feeling of the thoughts and just pulling it all together. But with time, we'll get this thing going. Final thought, and then we're going to wrap up. Don't fight yourself over the creativity. You're going to be in spaces where the creativity is going to just come natural. And you're also going to be in spaces and you're going to reach points where you're going to find yourself in a creative block. It's a matter of you as a person putting that balance into perspective. And that's what I'm going to just share with you all as a closer. So take with that and do with it as you will. And until next time, this is BT signing out. Peace. You have made it to the end of yet another episode of the Past BT Pod. I hope you gained something or walked away with some worthwhile information, whether it was related to any of the information provided about sports, about music, about technology, or possibly my personal fave, the Pass the Message. We want you to come in with an open mind and an open heart and walk away with something that's going to benefit you and carry you through your day, through your week, through your month, through your life. And that's the main objective here on the Pass. So I hope you were able to receive that. If you are looking to get find a good place to host your podcast, you can check out buzzsprout.com. And if you're also looking to invest in a microphone, a lot of people have their angst or their differences towards it. But I'm currently using the Blue Yeti X, and I've been using it for a little over a year. And it's still to this day one of my best investments I've made. And if I always give this as my closing tip. If you are a creative and you have the space to create, do not do your least to give your best effort towards what you're good at doing. Until next time, y'all take it easy.